The night on the colony world was colder than usual. Dusty winds blew across empty fields, carrying the sound of loneliness. In a small house made of wood and steel, a man named Elias sat alone. His hands were rough from long hours of repair. Work at the shipyard. His life was simple. Work, eat, sleep, and repeat. He did not have much, but he had learned one rule in life: never let kindness die. That evening, Elias had cooked something rare for himself: a pot of warm stew and one piece of bread. It was not fancy food, but to him it was a treasure. He placed the bowl on the table, the steam rising into the cold air, and smiled softly. For once, he thought, he would eat in peace. Then came a sound: knock. It was soft at first, almost hidden under the howling wind. Elias paused, spoon in hand. Who would knock at his door at this hour? The colony streets were always empty at night. Knock. This time, it was louder. Someone was there. Elias stood and walked slowly to the door. When he opened it, the cold air rushed in. But the cold was not what surprised him. Two young girls stood outside. Their clothes were torn and dirty, their faces pale and thin. The older one looked no more than 10, while the younger clutched her sister's hand tightly, wide with fear. "Please," the older girl whispered. Her voice trembled like dry leaves in the wind. "We are hungry." Elias froze. His first thought was simple: I have only one meal. His stomach growled. He had worked hard all week for this food. But then he looked at their faces again. Their small hands, their trembling lips, their hopeless eyes. Without a second thought, he stepped aside. "Come in." The girls entered quickly, shivering as the warmth of the small house touched their skin. Elias placed the stew on the table and broke the bread into 2 pieces. "Eat," he said softly. "You need it more than I do." The girls didn't wait. They ate as if they hadn't seen food in days. Every bite was fast and desperate. Elias sat back and watched, his own hunger forgotten. For some reason, watching them eat made him feel full in a way food never could. The younger girl finally slowed down and looked at him. Her eyes were big, dark, and strangely deep. "Why are you kind to us?" she asked in a quiet voice. Elias gave a small smile. "Because once, long ago, I was hungry too. A stranger gave me food. Kindness must travel. It should not end with one person." The older girl stopped eating for a moment. Her eyes lifted to his, and Elias saw something unusual. A faint golden glow seemed to flicker in her eyes, like the reflection of hidden fire. But it vanished in an instant, leaving him to wonder if the lamp's light had played a trick. When the meal was finished, Elias prepared a small bed near the fireplace. He placed blankets and a pillow, making it as comfortable as he could. "Rest here tonight," he told them. "Tomorrow, I will take you to the city shelter." The girls nodded, but their faces showed something more than simple relief. They seemed cautious, as if afraid of being discovered. Elias didn't ask questions. He was only glad they were safe for now. Later that night, Elias lay in his own bed. He tried to sleep, but soft whispers drifted from the fireplace. The sisters were talking in a language he did not recognize. The words were smooth, flowing, almost musical like any language spoken in the colony. He frowned in the dark. Who are these children, he thought, but his eyes closed and sleep finally came. When morning arrived, sunlight filled the small house. Elias stretched and turned toward the fireplace, but the blankets were empty. The girls were gone. No sound, no goodbye. Not even footprints near the door. Only the bowl, washed clean, placed neatly back on the table. Elias stood in silence for a long time. His chest felt heavy, as if a part of him had been taken away. He wondered where they had gone. He wondered if they were safe. At last, he whispered into the empty room, "Wherever you are, little ones, may you never be hungry again." He gathered his tools and walked out to another long day at the repair yards, not knowing that this small act of kindness would echo across the stars. Years passed like sand slipping through open fingers. The memory of 2 hungry girls knocking on his door faded into the quiet corners of Eliza's mind. Life on the colony world was not easy, and survival left little room for holding on to old stories. Elias returned each day to the ship repair yards. He fixed engines, patched old freighters, and bent steel with his calloused hands. The work was endless, dirty, and often thankless. But Elias had grown used to it. He told himself that a simple life was enough. And yet, sometimes at night, when the wind whispered against the windows of his small house, he would think of them, the 2 thin figures who had eaten his stew as if it were treasure. He would remember the strange glow in the older girl's eyes and the way they whispered in a language no one in the colony spoke. But in the morning, the memory always felt like a dream. The world changes slowly. The colony was not isolated forever. Traders came and went, bringing stories of distant stars. Rumors spread of alien fleets moving closer to human space. Some said war was coming. Others said peace had already been broken. For Elias, such stories meant little. He had no starship, no wealth, no power. He was just a man with grease on his hands and old tools in his bag. Still, the whispers of conflict made the nights feel heavier. One evening, as Elias walked home from the yards, he noticed something unusual. A group of soldiers in black uniforms stood in the market square, speaking with the colony governor. Their weapons were sharp, their armor polished, their faces hard. Elias slowed his steps, watching from a distance. It was rare to see soldiers here. The colony was small and poor, hardly worth guarding. But their presence meant something was moving in the larger galaxy. Elias thought again of the girls. Could they have been running from something? The question returned like an echo he could not silence. The quiet life despite the strange sightings. Elias lived as he always had. His house remained simple. His meals were small. He had no family, no children, no one to depend on him. Some nights, loneliness pressed against him like the weight of the stars themselves. But Elias did not complain. He worked, he slept, he survived. Still in his heart, there was a small emptiness left behind by 2 little strangers who had disappeared without a word. Sometimes, when he passed the shelter in the city, he would ask if 2 sisters had ever come there. The answer was always no. Perhaps they had gone to another world. Perhaps they had not survived at all. The thought always stung, but Elias pushed it away. The strange sky 10 years passed. Elias was older now. His hair showed streaks of gray. His hands shook a little after long days of work. Life had carved lines into his face, but his spirit remained steady. One night, after a long day, he sat outside his home, staring at the wide, dark sky. The stars were countless, scattered like fireflies, frozen in time. But as he watched, something strange happened. A light appeared at first. He thought it was a comet or a ship passing far away. But the light grew larger, brighter, and closer. Soon the ground beneath him trembled. A deep hum filled the air. A sound far too smooth to be an old freighter engine. Elias stood slowly, his heart pounding. The light descended behind the hills, hidden for a moment. Then the sound returned, louder, shaking the earth beneath his feet. He saw shadows moving across the night sky, long and sharp, unlike anything the colony owned. And then he saw it. A ship, not a simple cargo ship or a broken trader's freighter. No, this was something entirely different. Sleek, bright, designed with curves and silver lines that looked almost alive. A luxury vessel shining like liquid metal, lowering itself toward his lonely house. The air cracked with energy as the ship touched the ground. The dust of the colony swirled around its hull, glowing in the light of strange engines. Elias stumbled back, his mind racing. Why here? Why my home? The ship's ramp opened with a hiss. The visitors' figures appeared in the glowing doorway. They were tall, armored, and moved with perfect discipline. Soldiers, but not like the ones Elias had seen in the colony square. Their weapons looked far more advanced, their armor carrying strange symbols that shimmered faintly in the night. They stepped onto the ground. And to Elias's shock, they bowed dash to him. Confused, Elias said nothing. His lips parted, but no words came out. The soldiers held their silence, forming two straight lines beside the ramp. And then, from within the ship came movement. Two figures appeared in the doorway. They walked slowly down the ramp, their steps graceful, their presence commanding. Elias's breath caught in his chest. It was them. The two girls, no longer children, but grown. Their torn clothes had been replaced by shining robes embroidered with alien designs. Their eyes glowed faintly with the same golden light he had once glimpsed. Their posture was proud, their faces calm, a tease, but their gaze carried warmth when it fell upon him. They stopped before him, and in one voice, strong yet filled with emotion, they said, "We have come back, Elias." The night sky still glowed from the ship's engines. The colony fields, usually silent and dark, were filled with a strange silver light. Elias stood frozen in front of his small wooden house, his heart beating like a drum. The two young girls he had once fed now stood before him as women. Their presence carried weight, like rulers or leaders. The torn clothes of orphans were gone. Instead, they wore long robes of dark blue and silver, shining softly in the light. Strange symbols decorated their sleeves, symbols Elias had never seen before. Their eyes carried the same glow. He remembered a golden fire that flickered like stars. For a long moment, Elias could not speak. His lips trembled, his throat dry. The memory of that night 10 years ago came rushing back the knock at his door. The hungry voices, the way they whispered in a secret language. "Is it really you?" He whispered finally. The older sister smiled faintly. "Yes, Elias, we never forgot you." The weight of respect behind them, armored soldiers remained still, standing like statues. Their weapons glimmered with faint energy, far beyond anything the colony military could own. Yet their posture was not threatening. Their heads were slightly lowered, their stance respectful. Elias noticed it with confusion. These warriors, armed with power he could not even imagine, were treating him with honor. "Why? Why are you here?" Elias asked, his voice almost breaking. "I am no one. Just a repairman, just a poor man in a forgotten colony. Why would you come back?" Like this, the younger sister stepped forward. Her voice was gentle, but filled with a strength Elias had never heard before. "Because you are not no one. To us, you are the reason we stand here today. Without you, we would not have survived." Her words struck him like a blow. His knees felt weak, and for a moment he wondered if this was some kind of dream. A past unknown. The older sister lifted her hand, and a soldier brought forward a small, glowing device. It projected light into the air, forming scenes of burning cities, alien warships, and soldiers hunting in the shadows. Elias watched, wide-eyed, as the past he had never known unfolded before him. "We were not simple orphans," the older one said quietly. "We were children of a secret. Our parents were leaders in an alliance between humans and another race. When the war broke out, assassins hunted us. We ran, we hid. And that night, we reached your door, Elias felt. His skin grow cold. He remembered the hunger in their eyes, the way they whispered in that strange language. It all made sense now. You gave us more than food, the younger sister said. Her golden eyes locked onto his. You gave us hope. You reminded us that there was still kindness in the galaxy. That hope gave us the strength to survive until our people found us. The luxury Shiplius turned his eyes toward the ship again. It was unlike anything he had ever seen. Its surface reflected the stars. As if it were made of liquid light, the hum of its engine seemed alive, almost like the ship itself was breathing. This is your ship? Elias asked quietly. The older sister nodded. It is more than that. It is our home, our flagship. We command fleets now, Elias. We hold power and alliances that stretch across systems. But none of it would have been possible without the kindness of one man on a cold night. Elias shook his head slowly. I did nothing. I only gave you a meal. The younger one smiled gently. Sometimes a meal is enough to change everything. The gift of honor, the soldiers moved again, but not with weapons. Instead, one of them carried forward a chest. He set it before Elias and stepped back. The chest opened with a hiss, revealing shining objects inside bars of rare metals, glowing stones, and devices Elias did not recognize. The older sister spoke with formality, her voice steady. This is yours, Elias, a gift of honor. Wealth greater than anything this colony has ever seen. You deserve it. Elias stared at the treasure, but his heart felt heavy. He raised his hands slowly, shaking his head. I don't need this. I never wanted riches. All I ever wanted was a quiet life. The sisters looked at each other, and for a moment, sadness touched their faces. We know, the younger whispered. But fate has chosen you again. That night, you chose to help us. Tonight, you must choose again. The unanswered question Elias felt the weight of their words pressing down on him. His mind spun with confusion, fear, and wonder. What did they mean? What choice? The older sister stepped closer. She lowered her voice so only he could hear. The galaxy is not at peace. A storm is coming, one that will sweep across human worlds. We came not only to thank you, Elias, but to ask you. Elias's chest tightened. Ask me what? Golden eyes shone brighter, filled with fire and destiny. To stand with us. The silence before the storm, the wind blew across the empty colony fields, carrying dust into the night. The soldiers remained still. The ship's engines hummed softly, and Elias stood at the center of it, a ordinary man being asked to step into the heart of a galaxy-wide storm. He looked at the two sisters, no longer the starving children. He once sheltered, but leaders of unimaginable power. Their eyes carried hope, but also urgency. The silence stretched, heavy with destiny. Elias whispered to himself, almost too soft to hear. Why me? But deep inside, he already knew the answer. The silver light of the ship reflected off Elias's old wooden house, making it look smaller, weaker, and almost forgotten. Yet, the two young women standing before him treated that house as if it were a palace. Soldiers in shining armor stood, still around them, but Elias could not take his eyes off the sisters. Once, they had been to shivering orphans, barely strong enough to speak. Now, they carried themselves like rulers, their robes glowing faintly with woven silver threads, their eyes burning with a golden light. Elias's lips trembled as he spoke. I don't understand. You were just children. How? How did you become this? The older sister stepped forward. Her voice was calm, her tone steady, but her eyes softened when they looked at him. 10 years ago, we were weak, alone, hunted. That night, we had almost given up. If you had turned us away, if you... Had closed your door, we would have died in the cold." Her words pressed into Elias's chest like a weight. He remembered their pale faces, the desperation in their voices. He had thought it was a small act, just a bowl of stew. Nothing more, but to them it had been life itself. The younger sister smiled faintly. "When you gave us food, Elias, you gave us more than warmth. You gave us proof that kindness still lived. We carried that memory with us through the darkest years. It kept us moving when everything told us to stop." The burden of identity, the older sister lifted her hand. A soldier stepped forward and projected light from a device he carried. In the air, glowing symbols and images appeared. Elias saw starships with strange designs, banners of alien empires, and the faces of leaders who looked human, yet different. The sisters stood taller as the images shone around them. "We were not born simple," the elder continued. "Our blood carries the union of two worlds. Our mother was human. Our father was not. He was a leader of an ancient race that walks among the stars." Elias stared, his throat dry. Half human, half alien. The younger one nodded. "And because of that, many wanted us dead. To some, we were a threat. To others, a symbol of what must never exist. We were hunted like animals." Elias clenched his fists. The thought of children chased across planets filled him with anger. "And your parents?" The older sister lowered her gaze. "Gone, taken by the war. We were left with nothing but each other." For a moment, silence hung in the air. The cold wind moved across the field, carrying the weight of her words. Elias's heart ached as he remembered the fear in their young faces, the way they had clung to each other that night. Gratitude beyond time. The younger sister stepped closer. She reached out, her hand trembling slightly as it touched his. Her voice broke as she spoke. "Elias, we searched for years to find you again. We swore to never forget the man who gave us life when we were shadows. No gift, no honor can ever equal what you gave us. But we are here to try." Elias looked down at her hand, resting on his. For a moment, the world around him, the soldiers, the ship, the glowing lights, disappeared. All he saw were the same two children from 10 years ago, still holding on to hope, still looking to him with trust. "I only did what anyone should do," he whispered. The elder shook her head firmly. "No, Elias. Many would have turned us away. Many would have shut the door, but you opened it. That choice shaped everything that came after." The title they carried, one of the soldiers stepped forward, speaking in a deep, respectful voice. "You stand before the twin regents of the Celestial Alliance, leaders of 3 fleets, keepers of the Concord." Elias blinked, stunned. He turned back to the sisters. "Regents, fleets, you rule." The older smiled gently. "Yes, but even with all of this, Elias, we remember what truly matters. Not power, not ships, not titles. But the night a poor man chose to share his last meal." The words hit him harder than any weapon could. His knees weakened, and he sat slowly on the edge of the wooden steps in front of his house. The 2 women, rulers of fleets and symbols of power, followed his movement and stood humbly before him, waiting. A strange bond, the younger sister's eyes shone with tears. "We came back not only to thank you, we came because we need you again." Elias raised his head slowly. "Me, I am no leader. I fix old ships and engines. I am nothing compared to you." The elder shook her head. "You are more than you know. You gave us hope when we were powerless. Now the galaxy faces a storm. Armies rise. Old enemies stir. We need your voice, Elias. Not as a soldier, not as a king, but as the man who once taught us that kindness is stronger than fear." Elias stared at them, torn between disbelief and something deeper, something he could not name. He wanted to deny it, to tell them they had chosen the wrong person. Yet, in their golden eyes, he saw truth. The reunion's weight the night deepened, but Elias no longer felt the cold. He felt the bond between himself and the two women once orphans, now leaders. Time had changed them, but not the invisible thread that connected their lives. He whispered, almost to himself, 10 years ago, I gave you a meal. And now, you give me the stars. The elder regent bowed her head. And together, we may save them. The soldiers lowered their weapons, in perfect unison. The great ship behind them glowed brighter, waiting. Elias looked at his small house one last time, the wooden walls and broken roof that had been his world for so long. Then he turned back to the sisters, the children he had once saved, now offering him a place and a destiny far greater than his quiet life. And though his heart trembled, he knew his life would never again be ordinary. The soldiers stood like statues, their armor glowing faintly in the silver light of the ship. The air hummed with quiet energy. But Elias felt none of it. His attention was locked only on the two women before him. He remembered the night he had first seen them, thin, pale, trembling with hunger. Now they stood tall, wearing robes that shimmered like starlight, eyes glowing with golden fire. They had called him their savior. They had spoken of storms in the galaxy. And now Elias felt the weight of their words pressing down on him. Why me? He asked again, his voice quiet but heavy. Why come back to me after all these years? Surely you have kings and warriors greater than I. The older sister stepped forward, her gaze steady. Because truth must be spoken to the one who gave us life. Elias, you deserve to know who we truly are. The secret blood. She raised her hand, and the soldiers activated a device. A circle of light rose around them, projecting visions into the night sky. Elias watched in awe as stars formed above him, entire galaxies shimmering like rivers of light. Among them appeared images of great ships, alien temples, and councils of beings both human and not. The younger sister spoke softly, but her words cut deep. We are not only human. Our blood is a bridge between two great peoples. Our mother was humankind, gentle and brave. Our father was from an ancient race called the Seraphim. They are older than Earth itself, travelers who bend light and matter as easily as clay. Elise's breath caught. The images shifted to tall figures with glowing eyes and wings of pure energy, standing in halls of crystal and fire. They looked like myths, like gods, yet they were real. Our parents believed in peace, the elder continued. They believed that humans and seraphim could stand as one, but not all agreed. Many feared the union, many hated it. When war came, they were the first to fall. Assassins hunted us. We escaped with nothing. The younger lowered her head, her voice trembled. That night we reached your door. We were ready to give up. We had run for so long. We were starving, broken. If you had turned us away, the galaxy would have lost the last of our line. Elias felt his chest tightened. The memory of them eating. His stew flashed in his mind. He had thought it was nothing, a simple act of kindness. But to them, it had been survival itself. A war in the shadows. The images shifted again. Now, Elias saw fleets of ships clashing in the void, beams of light, tearing through darkness, planets burning under alien fire. The soldiers' faces remained hard and silent. Elias felt the weight of what he was seeing. The war never truly ended. The older sister said, it only changed shape. In shadows, enemies gather. Old rivalries awaken. There are those who would see humans enslaved and those who would see the seraphim destroyed. The storm is rising, Elias, and we are at its center. Elias's fists clenched. But what can I do? I am no warrior. I am no leader. I fix broken ships. I mend engines. that is all." The younger sister stepped closer, her golden eyes filled with fire. "You are wrong. What you gave us was not a weapon, was not power. It was something greater, hope. That is what leaders forget, and that is why we need you. You reminded us, long ago, that kindness can change destiny." The hidden gift from the chest the soldiers had brought earlier, the elder lifted a small object. It was a pendant shaped like a star, glowing softly in her hand. She held it out to Elias. "This belonged to our mother," she said. She carried it as a symbol of the bond between two worlds. "We give it to you now. With it, you will be known among our people as one of us." Elias stared at the pendant. The glow inside it seemed alive, pulsing gently like a heartbeat. When he reached out and touched it, a warmth spread through his skin, up his arm, and into his chest. For a moment, he thought he saw visions, flashes of great halls, alien skies, and voices calling his name. He pulled his hand back quickly, his breath shaking. This is not for me." The elder's voice was firm. "It is yours. You are part of our story now, whether you wish it or not." The coming storm, the night was silent again, but Elias felt the storm building around him. The pendant glowed in his hands. The soldiers bowed their heads, and the two women, no longer the orphans he once fed, stood like queens of the stars. "We did not come only to honor you," the younger said softly. "We came to ask you to stand with us. War is coming, Elias. Humanity will need a voice that remembers compassion. We cannot face what is coming alone." Elias closed his eyes. The quiet life he had lived flashed before him: the shipyard, the broken engines, the empty house. And then the memory of that night returned. Two girls shivering in the cold. Simple meal, shared without thought. The way their eyes had lit with life again. When he opened his eyes, he saw them as they were now. Strong, powerful, unshaken. And yet, in their gaze, he saw the same trust they had shown him 10 years ago. He whispered, "I don't know if I am strong enough," the elder answered, her voice steady. "Strength is not what you gave us, Elias. You gave us something greater. And now, we ask you to give it again to the galaxy." The pendant glowed brighter in his hand. The air felt heavy with destiny. Elias looked at the ship, at the sisters, at the soldiers waiting. He knew his answer would change, not only his life, but perhaps the fate of entire worlds. And though fear burned inside him, he also felt something else, rising, a spark he had not felt in years. Hope. The night was silent, but inside Elias's heart, a storm raged. The pendant in his hand pulsed with soft light, as if alive. Every beat of its glow seemed to whisper to him, calling him toward something greater than himself. Before him stood the sisters, once children who had begged him for food, now leaders of fleets, rulers of men and aliens alike. Around them, soldiers waited, unmoving, their eyes lowered in respect. The luxury ship behind them glowed faintly, like a star resting. On the ground, Elias looked from the pendant to their faces, his voice breaking. "Why me? I am no leader. I am a man who fixes broken machines. You have armies, you have power, you have wisdom far beyond me. What can I give that you do not already have?" The elder sister stepped forward, her golden eyes steady. "You gave us hope when we were lost. Do you think armies can do that? Do you think fleets can? Hope cannot be built with weapons, Elias. It is given through small acts of courage." Her words cut into him because he knew they were true. The gifts the younger sister gestured, and one of the soldiers carried forward another object. This time, it was not treasure, not jewels or medals. It was a sword. Its blade was sleek and shining, glowing faintly with blue light that shimmered like water. The hilt bore the same strange symbols as their robes. The soldier knelt and offered it to Elias. "This is the sword of concord." The elder said, "It was once carried by our father. It has not been touched since the night he fell. We give it to you now, Elias. With it, you are not only our friend, you are part of our bloodline." Elias stepped back, shaking his head. "No, I cannot take this. I am not worthy." The younger's voice softened. "Worth is not given by blood, Elias. It is proven by choice. You proved it 10 years ago when you opened your door." Elias stared at the sword. Its glow reflected in his eyes, filling him with fear and awe. Slowly, his hands trembled as he reached forward. When his fingers touched the hilt, a surge of warmth shot through him, just as the pendant had done. For a moment, he thought he heard voices deep, powerful, speaking in languages unknown, yet somehow familiar. He pulled back, gasping, "What is happening to me?" The elder bowed her head. "The sword has accepted you. It knows your heart. You are no longer only a man of the colony. You are part of something far greater." The warning the soldiers shifted slightly as the air around them thickened with tension. One of them stepped forward and spoke in a voice deep as thunder. "Regents, forgive my words, but we must not delay. Our enemies move even now. Our shadows gather. At the edge of the system, if he chooses, he must choose soon." The sisters exchanged a glance, their faces grim. The elder turned back to Elias. "You see, Elias, time is short. The storm is not tomorrow, is here. Our enemies have already begun their strike. This colony will not be safe for long." Elias's heart raced. His quiet home, his small workshop. The only life he had ever known it was all under threat. He looked at the fields around him, the familiar hills, the wooden walls of his house. Could he leave them? Could he abandon the life he had built? The choice the younger sister knelt before him, lowering her proud head in a gesture that stunned him. A ruler of fleets bowing to a simple man. Her voice trembled with urgency. "Elias, we beg you, come with us, stand with us, not as a warrior, not as a king, but as the man who reminded us of compassion. Humanity needs you. We need you. The galaxy needs you." The elder stood tall behind her. "But know this, once you choose, there is no turning back. If you come with us, your life of quiet days will end. You will walk into danger, into battles greater than you can imagine. You will stand against powers that seek to crush and tire." Worlds Elias's throat tightened. "And if I refuse," the elder's eyes darkened, "then we will honor you still. We will leave treasure to keep you safe. We will guard this colony from the shadows. But the galaxy will lose a voice it desperately needs." The man and the stars. Elias closed his eyes. Memories rushed through him. His lonely meals, his broken tools, his empty nights. And then the memory of 2 starving girls, their faces lighting up with hope as they ate his stew. That memory was the brightest thing in his life, and now it had returned to him in flesh and blood. He opened his eyes and stared at the pendant in his left hand, the sword in his right. 2 gifts, 2 symbols, 2 paths. He whispered to himself, "I never asked for this." The younger sister lifted her head, tears shining in her golden eyes. "Neither did we. But destiny does not ask. It only comes." Elias felt his heart pound like a drum. He looked at the ship, at the soldiers, at the women who had once been children at his table. The galaxy waited in their eyes, and slowly he nodded, "I will come." The rising storm, the soldiers dropped to one knee as one, their armor clashing like thunder. The sisters bowed their heads, relief and joy flashing across their faces. The ship's engines hummed louder, as if answering his choice. The elder spoke with quiet strength. "Then tonight, Elias of the colony, you rise not as a man of shadows, but as a beacon of hope. Together, we will face what comes. Elias tightened his grip on the sword. The pendant glowed warmly against his chest. For the first time in years, his empty heart felt full. He turned back once, looking at his small wooden house. It seemed smaller than ever. Then he looked forward at the ship, at the stars beyond, and he stepped toward his new life. The night air trembled as the ship's engines roared softly, ready to rise. Dust swirled across the colony field, glowing faintly in the silver light. Elias stood at the base of the ramp, the pendant against his chest and the sword in his hand. His heart pounded, not from fear alone, but from the weight of what he had just chosen. He looked one last time at his small wooden house. The roof was crooked, the windows cracked, the walls worn by wind and time. It had been his whole life, his shelter, his prison, his comfort. Now it looked so small compared to the towering vessel behind him. The elder sister stepped closer. "You do not leave it behind forever, Elias. You carry it with you. Every part of who you are will shape what comes next." Her words gave him strength. Elias nodded slowly. He turned from the house and walked up the ramp. A new world inside the moment he stepped into the ship, he felt as though he had entered another world. The walls shimmered with soft light, shifting like flowing water. The air was warm and filled with a faint hum, as though the ship itself was alive. Soldiers moved with precision, bowing slightly as Elias passed. Their respect unsettled him. He was no king, no warrior, yet they looked at him as if he were more important than all their weapons combined. The younger sister walked beside him, her smile soft. "Do not fear, Elias. We will guide you. You are not alone." Her words touched him more than she knew. For so long, loneliness had been his only companion. Now, for the first time in years, he felt part of something greater. The council's message, they led him to a great chamber within the ship. At its center floated a crystal sphere, glowing with threads of light. As Elias approached, the threads shifted, forming images, faces of humans and seraphim leaders projected from far-off systems. Their eyes turned toward Elias. A deep voice echoed from the sphere. "So this is the man. It's the one who fed our regents when they were but shadows." Elias swallowed hard. His hand shook. He had never been addressed by rulers, much less beings who commanded fleets. The elder sister stepped forward. "Yes, this is Elias. He is proof that compassion survives even in the smallest corners of the galaxy." The leaders in the sphere murmured among themselves. Some nodded, others frowned. One voice spoke sharply. "How can a repairman of a forgotten colony guide us in war?" Elias felt the weight of their doubt pressing on him. He lowered his head. Perhaps they were right. He was just a man. But then the younger sister touched his arm gently. Her voice was firm, filled with fire. "He is not only a man, he is the reason we are alive. He is the reason we stand here. Without him, there would be no regents. Without him, there would be no future." Silence followed. The glowing faces in the sphere seemed to consider her words. Finally, the deep voice returned. "Then let it be so. If he is your chosen guide, we will honor it. The storm comes, and all who carry hope must stand together." The first step the chamber dimmed as the sphere faded. The sisters turned back. To Elias, the elder said, "You see, already your voice changes the course of stars." Elias shook his head. "I only stood silent." The younger smiled. Even silence can be powerful when it comes from the right soul. Elias held the pendant tightly, feeling its warmth. Perhaps he had been wrong all along. Perhaps hope truly was stronger than strength. The flight moments later, the ship lifted from the colony ground. The engines hummed louder, and the world outside grew smaller. Elias stood near a window, watching his home shrink into a speck beneath the endless night sky. His throat tightened. He had lived his whole life there, and now it was gone in moments. The elder joined him at the window. "Do not mourn, Elias. You are not leaving your home. You are carrying it into the stars. Every act of kindness you gave there will live wherever you walk." Elias nodded slowly. Her words felt true. The coming war the ship pierced through the clouds, rising into space. Stars stretched out before them, endless and bright. But among them, Elias saw something that filled him with unease. Far away on the edge of vision, shadows moved, dark fleets gathering, lights flashing like silent storms. He turned to the sisters. "That is what we face, isn't it?" The elder's jaw tightened. "Yes. War greater than any seen before." The younger's voice softened. "But with you, Elias, we will face it not with fear, but with hope." Elias gripped the sword at his side. It still felt heavy, almost too heavy for his hands. Yet deep inside, a flame had been lit. He was no longer the man who worked alone in a dusty shipyard. He was something more, though he did not yet understand what. The legacy, as the Extaeus ship sailed into the void. Elias closed his eyes. He thought again of that night 10 years ago. A knock on the door. 2 starving girls. A single bowl of stew. A simple choice that had changed everything. He realized now that the smallest acts echo the loudest across time. Kindness, even in a forgotten place, could shape the fate of galaxies. When he opened his eyes again, the stars burned brighter. The sisters stood beside him, one on each side, their presence steady and strong. Soldiers watched silently, ready for battle. And Elias, for the first time in his life, did not feel alone. The elder spoke softly, almost like a promise. "From this night forward, Elias, you will be remembered. Not as a warrior, not as a king, but as the man who gave hope when it was needed most." The younger added, her golden eyes glowing, "And together we will carry that hope into the war to come." Elias looked into the endless sky, his heart steady. He had not asked for this life, but it had found him. And though fear still lived within him, hope burned brighter. Thus began the legacy of a simple man who once shared a meal and became the voice of humanity among the stars.